I was still holding the apple tart when my father told me not to come home again. Still warm. Still wrapped in foil. Still dusted with the cinnamon sugar topping my mother always said made it extra special. It was Thanksgiving. I'd driven 4 hours through sleet and construction traffic just to get there before sunset. It had been our tradition for years. Mom cooked the turkey, I brought the tart. We'd eat, laugh, and argue about which Christmas decorations to put up first. I thought this year would be no different. I thought I was home. But that was before Dad stood at the foot of the dining room table, jaw tight, voice cold. "You need to return the 50,000, Claire, or don't bother coming back." The words hit like a slap. Not loud, just surgical. Sliced through the room like a scalpel. At first I thought I misheard. That maybe this was one of Dad's dry jokes, the kind that only he found funny. But no one was laughing. Ben, my younger brother, sat across from me, eyes fixed on the turkey like it might rescue him. His wife, Nina, folded her napkin with military precision. My mother didn't look at me at all. I didn't sit. Couldn't. The pie tray felt suddenly too heavy, like gravity had doubled. I glanced at it, as if the answer to what just happened might be written on the crust. "Excuse me?" I asked. Dad's voice didn't change. "Don't make this harder than it has to be." I looked at Ben. He didn't look back. I turned to my mother. She still wouldn't meet my eyes. "What are you accusing me of?" I said, my voice too calm. It was Nina who answered. Of course it was. She folded her hands like a lawyer and spoke softly. "Mom's account. 50,000 disappeared last month, right after you helped her set up the new banking app." My mouth went dry. Yes, I'd helped Mom. She was nervous about going paperless, so I walked her through everything. We'd sat at the kitchen table, with her laptop. I showed her how to set passwords, activate two-step login, how to check balances. She even wrote it all down in a little spiral notebook she kept in the junk drawer. But that was 4 weeks ago. Now they were saying I stole from her. "You think I took Mom's money?" I whispered. Ben finally spoke, his voice stiff like it didn't want to move. "The bank confirmed the withdrawals were done online. No one else had access. No one except you." I looked at my mom. Still no eye contact. She lifted her napkin and pressed it to her mouth like she was going to be sick. That's when it hit me. Not just the accusation, but the realization. The pie didn't matter. The drive, the tradition, the years of showing up didn't matter. I wasn't their daughter tonight. I was a suspect. I set the tart gently on the granite counter. The foil crinkled. The dish clicked. Then I walked to the back of the chair where I'd left my coat. I slipped it on, slowly, like any sudden move might make things worse. I didn't cry. Didn't argue, didn't even raise my voice. "You have until the end of the week," my father said behind me. "Then we go to the lawyer." Outside, the cold slapped my face. Inside, the windows glowed yellow with the same warm light I grew up under, the same kitchen where we once baked cookies, played cards, wrapped presents. Now it felt like a house I'd never lived in. I got in the car, turned the key, and pulled away from the curb. I didn't scream. Didn't pound the steering wheel or call anyone. I just drove. The roadside motel sat 5 miles down the highway, tucked between a shuttered gas station and a Denny's. I passed it every year, never had a reason to stop. Tonight, it was the only place that felt neutral. The clerk didn't ask why I needed a room on a holiday. I was thankful for that. The room smelled like microwave popcorn and floor cleaner. I kicked off my boots, turned on the bedside lamp, and sat, hands shaking, stomach hollow, still wearing my coat. I was 36 years old, a senior audit manager trusted with tracking $18 million in corporate assets, and my own family thought I had stolen from them. But the worst part? I wasn't even surprised. Not really. There had been signs. The way Nina rolled her eyes whenever Mom bragged about my job. The way Dad asked if I was ever going to slow down and live a little, like career success didn't count, unless it came with a husband and kids. Even last year when I offered to help pay for their new roof, Ben joked I was trying to buy loyalty. I thought they were just insecure. I thought we were still family. I lay back on the comforter and stared at the ceiling. My mind raced backward. The day Mom asked for help with her bank account. Every login. Every security question. Had I missed something? Or had someone else seen the notebook in the kitchen drawer? It wasn't locked. Anyone could have used it. Nina stayed over with Mom during her outpatient scans last month. Ben had a key to the house. I'd set everything up, sure. But I wasn't the only one who knew. Still, they believed it. Believed I waited until Mom was vulnerable and took everything as if I needed the money, as if I would ever. My phone buzzed. A text from Nina. We didn't want it to come to this, but you made it hard to trust you. No happy Thanksgiving. No, hope you're okay. Just blame, like I'd broken something. Like I was the one who owed them an apology. I turned the phone face down. If they wanted me to play the villain, maybe it was time I started investigating like one. The next morning, I woke up before the sun. No alarm, no birdsong. Just the gray ceiling of the motel and the hum of the old heating unit beneath the window. I hadn't really slept. Just floated. In and out of shallow dreams that kept looping the same moment. Return the 50,000. I stared at the ceiling for a long time. Like if I watched it hard enough, it might offer a different version of last night. One where my mom defended me. One where Ben spoke up. One where my father didn't sound like a man giving instructions to an employee. The motel coffee was as bitter as the air outside. Still, I sipped it slowly, sitting cross-legged on the bed with the blinds still drawn. 36 years old, senior audit manager, Harvard MBA, trusted with more financial power than my entire family combined, and they thought I'd stolen from them. Not just accused, believed, no questions, no grace, just exile. I picked up my phone. A notification glowed, a new text from Nina. We didn't want it to come to this, but you made it hard to trust you. No happy Thanksgiving, no are you okay, just that, like I was the one who owed them something. I stared at the message until the words blurred. Then I powered off the phone. My eyes drifted to the corner of the room, to the laptop case I hadn't unpacked. I stared at it. At first, I didn't move. I didn't want to be that person, the one who brought work into everything, even heartbreak. But then I remembered something. I wasn't just a daughter anymore. Not to them. They made that clear. So maybe it was time to be what I actually was. An auditor, a forensic analyst, a woman who specialized in tracing where money goes, and who benefits when it disappears. I opened the case. The zipper sounded loud in the stillness. Within minutes, the screen lit up, glowing in the dim room. Username. Password. Clearance level. Click. Didn't tell my family that I'd been working on an internal case for the last 6 months. Something we were calling soft elder fraud. Not giant cons. Not Nigerian princes. Just quiet thefts. Small, calculated withdrawals from elderly accounts. Usually in 3 installments. Just low enough to avoid federal reporting thresholds. Usually by someone close. A niece. A neighbor. A son-in-law. I remembered the name of my mother's bank, Lakeview Federal. I typed it in, accessed the internal transaction report system, quick search, Mom's name. Her account, 3 withdrawals, $20,000, $15,000, $15,000, all within 2 weeks. But then I saw the line that changed everything. Withdrawal type, in-person teller. My breath caught, Not online, not digital, in person. I wasn't even in town those days. They told me the theft happened online, that I was the only one with access. But the money wasn't stolen online. It was walked out of the bank. I scrolled further. There was a security tag on the transaction. An archived link to surveillance footage, accessible with compliance override. I messaged Theo, our internal compliance officer. I'd helped him on 3 fraud cases in the past. He owed me one. Just a name, date range, and location. He replied within 20 minutes. Got it. You didn't hear it from me. A zip file came through. Inside, 3 stills, 3 dates, 3 clips. I clicked the first one. Lakeview Federal, October 4th. Camera angled above the teller desk. A woman in a gray hoodie with red hair wearing oversized sunglasses. She was nervous, glancing over her shoulder. At first, I thought maybe it was a stranger, someone paid to impersonate Mom. But then she stepped closer, pulled down her mask, spoke to the teller. Nina. Even through the grainy footage, I knew that face. I'd watched that face pout over broken nail polish and smile through fake apologies. She handed over an ID, signed a form. I froze the frame, her handwriting, still the same loopy curves she used when she signed yearbooks in 10th grade. Second, clip. October 10th. Ben. No disguise. No nerves. Just a polite smile and a light joke for the teller. He signed and nodded like he had every right to be there. Third clip. Nina. Again. Different sunglasses, same hoodie. It was staged, planned. They had waited until I helped Mom go digital, then used that moment, that trust, as cover. They didn't just steal from her, they framed me. I sat back in the motel chair, the fluorescent light flickering above me. The screen glowed with their faces. I wasn't angry yet, just hollow. Then I whispered aloud. You wanted someone to blame? You picked the wrong girl. The next morning, I didn't even touch the coffee. I didn't need it. I had adrenaline, instinct, and the kind of purpose you only get when the people you love decide to turn you into their villain. I opened my laptop again, still sitting in that motel chair, half-dressed from the night before. 3 bank transactions. 3 confirmed faces. But it wasn't enough. If I wanted this to stick, if I wanted to walk into that house and bury their lie for good, I needed more than grainy footage and gut feeling. I needed proof. And the thing about financial lies? They always leave fingerprints. I started with the obvious. Access logs. When I helped Mom set up her online account, we used her laptop. Set up a fresh password, enabled 2-step authentication, tied it to her main email and phone number. I pulled the metadata from the digital banking activity log. First login after I left town. October 5th, 6:43 p.m. Not from her laptop, from a tablet. Not even her tablet. The IP address was familiar. I looked it up. Their house. Ben and Nina's Wi-Fi. I'd used it last Christmas when I was there, logged into Spotify. I dug deeper. The recovery email on file had been changed 2 days after I left. The new email wasn't Mom's. I ran it through a reverse lookup. The recovery phone number belonged to Ben. Of course it did. They didn't just use Mom's login. They rerouted her entire account, changed the backup pathways, erased her control, and made it look like I was the one managing everything. I sat back, lips pressed into a tight line. They weren't just careless. They were comfortable. That was the part that burned. They hadn't done this in a panic. They'd done it slowly, confidently, like they thought no one would ever look closely. Because the moment Mom said, "Claire helped me set it up," the rest of the story wrote itself. I scrolled back through my email. Last year, Christmas break. I'd sent Mom a PDF attachment, her yearly tax worksheet. I remembered what she said. I'll print it and keep it in the kitchen drawer. That drawer, where she also kept the spiral notebook, passwords, pins, security questions. She thought it was safe, but she forgot about the people in the house. Ben had a key. Nina lived there off and on, stayed overnight when Mom had her gallbladder scan. She would have had hours alone in the house. Time to study the notebook. Time to open Mom's bank statements. Time to memorize the ID card they later used at the teller desk. It wasn't opportunity. It was premeditated. I opened a blank folder on my desktop. Named it. Kitchen table. Final. I dragged the security stills into it. Labeled them Lisa, Okit 4, withdrawal, Marsh 1, 20K Ben, Okiti 10, withdrawal, Nor 2, 15K Lisa, Okiti 16, withdrawal, number 3, 15K. Then I pulled Mom's bank's teller signature logs. One request. To Theo, one quiet favor. Within the hour, I had PDF scans of the withdrawal slips. I froze. The handwriting matched, not mine. Lisa's, clear as day. I checked the address she used on the slip. Mom's address, of course. But the contact number? A prepaid cell I remembered seeing on the kitchen counter next to Lisa's purse. She used it to job hunt, she said. Turns out she was just hunting. I pulled out a separate folder from my suitcase. Black, slim, and professional. The kind I usually used for courtroom prep, executive summaries, litigation audits, compliance presentations. I slipped in every document, the access logs, the IP trace, the changed recovery email, the phone number match, the teller slips, and 3 clear stills of their faces from the bank footage. I paused before zipping it closed, added, one final thing, a sticky note, not pressing charges, unless you make me. I looked at it for a long time, not because I wasn't sure. I was, but because part of me, some tired, flickering human part, still wanted to believe someone would stop me before I got that far, that someone would text, call, say, Claire, we're sorry. We got it wrong. But the phone stayed quiet. I stood, stretched, and slipped the folder into my leather tote. Not a briefcase, not a backpack, just something professional, personal, enough. Something that said, you underestimated me. The plan was simple now. I wouldn't yell. I wouldn't accuse. I would walk in, say nothing, and let the truth speak first. If they wanted a villain, I'd give them one, just not the kind they expected. I didn't call ahead. I didn't want them to prepare, perform, or twist the narrative again. I wanted truth, raw, undeniable, and staring them in the face. It was Monday afternoon when I pulled up to the house. Sunlight angled just right through the trees. That soft, gold kind of light that used to make this place feel like home. It didn't anymore. The driveway was full. Ben's black SUV, Nina's dented Prius, Mom's old Camry. No guests, just family. I parked at the curb and turned off the engine. The Thalm's leather folder sat in my lap. My hands rested on it, calm, steady. The way they always were before presenting to a corporate board or an audit committee. But this wasn't a company. This was my family, and the receipts I was about to show them. They weren't just financial. They were emotional. I stepped onto the porch. The wood creaked beneath my boots, same as always. The front door was unlocked. Of course it was. This house never locked anything. Except me out. The kitchen lights were on. I heard clinking glasses, quiet laughter, Nina's, high-pitched and nervous. The scent of reheated stuffing and rosemary floated through the air. They were having lunch. Like nothing had happened. They looked up as I entered, all at once, like a scene rehearsed. Ben leaned against the counter, arms crossed. Nina was perched on the bar stool, mug in hand, one leg swinging lazily. Mom stood by the sink, drying a dish with a striped towel. Dad stirred something on the stove, back turned. It was eerily normal, like I'd never left, like they hadn't kicked me out 2 nights ago. No one said a word. I walked past them, straight to the kitchen island, and placed the black folder down on the wood surface, the same surface we used to roll out cookie dough. I opened it, then I looked at them. "You said I took the money," I said. "Let me show you who actually did." The stillness in the room shifted, like before a storm. I pulled out the first photo, a grainy still from the bank's security footage. Nina, gray hoodie, sunglasses, standing at the teller's desk, signing something. "October 4th, I said. "Withdrawal, $20,000, done in person, not online, not me." Nina didn't move, her hand clenched around the mug, knuckles paling. Second photo, Ben, smiling at the counter, holding a check. "October 10th, $15,000. I turned to Mom, her eyes flicked between the images, lips parted, no sound coming out. Third photo. Nina again. Different day, different sunglasses, same pattern. "October 16th, another $15,000. I slid the teller slips forward. "Signed in your handwriting," I said, looking directly at Nina. "I matched it to the grocery list you wrote last week. Same loops on the L's, same open E's." Silence. Not shocked silence. Guilty silence. Finally, Nina spoke. Her voice cracked just slightly. You went through our things?" I tilted my head. "You went through Mom's." Ben stepped forward, jaw clenched. "Okay. Enough. This doesn't prove anything." I opened the next sheet. Metadata logs. Here's the IP address from the tablet used to access Mom's account after I left town. Not her laptop, not her phone. Your Wi-Fi, Ben. Same IP address she used to stream Netflix last week. Mom's hand shook. She sat slowly at the table, her eyes fixed on the folder like it was radioactive. "But the bank said it was online, withdrawals," she said quietly. "That's what they told me." The access came later, after the money was already gone. They used the online platform to make it look like I had control. But every single dollar, taken at the branch. In person. I let that hang in the air. Nina looked down. Ben looked angry, not remorseful, just exposed. "You always had everything," Nina finally said. "The job, the praise, Mom's attention. We just wanted to level the field a little." I stared at her for a long moment. She didn't look like a sister-in-law anymore. She looked like a stranger in my house. "You didn't level anything," I said softly. "You torched what was left of this family." My father turned around. He hadn't said a word the entire time. Now he looked at me, tired, older somehow. "Claire, what are you going to do?" I met his gaze. "I'm not pressing charges, but I've given everything in this folder to the family attorney. You decide what happens next." I zipped the folder closed. The sound was sharp, final. "You told me not to come back unless I returned the money," I said, as I turned toward the door. "I didn't take the money, but I brought the truth." I walked out. No one followed. I didn't drive straight home. I sat in my car at the curb for a long time, hands resting on the steering wheel, the folder still on the passenger seat. Through the kitchen window, I could see them moving around, not frantically, not angrily, just still. No one came outside. No one opened the door. No one called my name. Not Ben, not Nina, not even my mother. That, more than anything, told me what I needed to know. By the time I hit the freeway, the sun had dipped below the horizon, leaving the sky bruised and violet. Boston was colder then, I remembered. Or maybe I was colder now. same apartment, same desk lamp, same bookshelf filled with forensic accounting guides and old birthday cards I hadn't thrown away. But I didn't feel like the same person anymore. I unpacked slowly. Boots by the door, laptop back in the case. The folder? I placed it in the drawer beneath my tax returns, not quite ready to shred it, not ready to revisit it either. It had done its job. The proof was delivered. The silence that followed, that was theirs to carry now. The first night back, I didn't check the family group chat, didn't open any texts, didn't call to say I got back safe. No one asked. The pie I'd left on their counter probably ended up in the trash. And the truth I'd left behind? That would linger longer than the tart ever could. 3 days passed. On the 4th, I finally checked my voicemail. One message. My mother. Her voice was smaller than I remembered, shaky in places. She paused more than she spoke. Claire, we were wrong. I know that now. I didn't want to believe it. Not about them. I'm sorry. A beat. I don't expect you to forgive us. I just wanted you to know. The house feels empty. She hung up before the minute mark. I didn't call back. A week later, a letter came in the mail. Real paper, real envelope. No return address, but I recognized her handwriting instantly. Inside was a single photo. Me, Ben, and Nina, ages 8, 10, and 12, sitting on the back porch in Halloween costumes. I was a scarecrow. Ben was some kind of football zombie. Nina had tinfoil fairy wings duct taped to her shoulders. On the back, my mother had written just one sentence. We didn't know how much we would miss you until you were gone. No signature. Just that. A cousin texted me a few days later. Said Ben and Nina had moved out. Said Mom, needed space. I didn't ask for details. Didn't ask if they left willingly or if they were pushed. None of it changed the fact that when they had the chance to stand beside me, they didn't. I didn't go back for Christmas. No tree, no calls, no annual ornament exchange, just silence. But it wasn't empty. It was peaceful. I took the energy I would have spent trying to fix things and put it somewhere new. At the local community center, I started a weekend workshop. Digital banking basics, protecting your finances after 60. Nothing fancy. No sign-up fees. Just coffee, chairs, and handouts I printed myself. The first class had 5 people. The second, 12. By the 3rd Saturday, we had to move to a bigger room. One afternoon, a woman in her 70s came up to me. After class, she'd taken 2 pages of notes, asked sharp questions, wore a blue scarf that reminded me of Mom's. She smiled and said, "I wish I had a daughter like you." I smiled back, polite, warm. Didn't say what I was thinking. So, did mine, once. I still keep the folder. Not on my desk, not on display. Just tucked in that drawer beneath the tax returns, beside the photo. Not because I need to reopen it, but because some truths deserve to exist, even if they're never spoken again. There's a kind of grief no one prepares you for. The kind that doesn't come from death, but from realizing the people you love chose someone else's version of you over your own. And once they made that choice, they couldn't take it back. By January, Boston was wrapped in snow, sidewalks edged with slush, trees bare, everything quiet. And me? I was fine. Not healed, not entirely, but whole. Clear. I moved through my life with a new rhythm now. Work was steady. My apartment felt warmer than it used to. Not from the radiator, but from what I'd taken back. Not money, not apologies. Control. The weekend workshop grew faster than I expected. We called it Silver Guard retirees, widows, veterans, people who had trusted the wrong person once and wanted to make sure it never happened again. They came with stories about stolen pensions, joint accounts that vanished, trusted, family members who blurred the line between help and harm. They didn't want pity. They wanted information, empowerment. I gave it to them. Charts, guides, tips. And the truth. The kind of truth I wish someone had handed my mother. One Saturday afternoon, a woman lingered after class, hair pinned neatly, floral gloves, eyes sharp. She waited until the others left, then walked up slowly. "I heard about you," she said. "Your story." I hesitated. I hadn't told anyone the full version. She smiled gently. "Don't worry, you don't need to explain. I just wanted to say, what you did. That took strength." I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. She leaned in. "Some of us survive by forgetting, but the rest of us, we survive by remembering. You did right, sweetheart." That night, I went home and pulled open the drawer. The folder was still there, untouched, unmoved. Next to it, the photo Mom sent, the one from Halloween. I took it out again, studied it. 3 kids, 1 future fracture, all smiling like we had. A lifetime ahead of us. Maybe we did. Maybe that's the tragedy. My phone buzzed. A text. "Mom, if you ever want to come by for tea, I'll be here." That was all. No pressure, no guilt. Just a door creaked open. I didn't reply right away. Not out of anger, out of care. Some things needed time. Some things needed space to be real again. If they ever could be. I turned off the phone, poured a cup of tea, and sat by the window. Snow fell slow, soft, and for the first time in months, I felt calm. Not just on the outside, but in the places betrayal had touched and left fingerprints. I thought about what they said. Return the $50,000. Or don't come home. And I realized I never went back for the money. I went back for the truth. And that's what I returned. I placed it on their table. Quietly, clearly, and walked away. Because sometimes the best revenge is walking out with your dignity intact while they're still sitting in the wreckage they built for someone else. They told me not to come home, so I made sure they meant it.